Hey there, welcome to today's audio journey. We're diving deep into something powerful, something that can truly transform the way you see the world and live your life. It's all about a mindset shift, one that changes everything. Now, I know that sounds bold, but stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what I mean and how you can start applying this shift to your own life. Let's start with a question. Have you ever felt stuck? Like, no matter what you do, you're spinning your wheels, caught in the same patterns, facing the same frustrations. Maybe it's a job that drains you, a relationship that feels off, or even just a sense that you're not living up to your potential. We've all been there at some point. But here's the thing. Most of the time, the problem isn't the situation itself, it's how we're thinking about it. Our mindset shapes our reality. And if we want to change our lives, we need to start by changing the way we think. So, what is this mindset shift? At its core, it's about moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Now, you might have heard these terms before, but let's break them down in a way that feels real and actionable. A fixed mindset is when you believe your abilities, your intelligence, your talents, they're set in stone. You think, this is just who I am. I'm good at this, but I'm bad at that, and there's no changing it. It's a limiting way of thinking, and it keeps you trapped in a box of your own making. On the other hand, a growth mindset is the belief that you can grow, learn, and improve through effort, practice, and persistence. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities, not roadblocks. It's about embracing the idea that you're not stuck, you're evolving. This shift in thinking doesn't just change how you approach problems, it changes how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. Let's paint a picture to make this clear. Imagine two people starting a new job. One has a fixed mindset. They think, I'm either good at this or I'm not. If I mess up, it's because I'm not cut out for it. The other has a growth mindset. They think, I might not know everything now, but I can learn. Mistakes are just part of the process. When they hit a challenge, like a tough project or critical feedback, the fixed mindset person might give up or feel defeated. But the growth mindset person, they dig in, they ask questions, seek help, and keep pushing forward. Over time, who do you think grows more? Who do you think feels more fulfilled? This isn't just about work, though. This mindset shift applies to every area of life: relationships, health, personal goals. Let's say you want to get in shape, but you've never been good at exercise. A fixed mindset might tell you, I'm just not athletic. Why bother? A growth mindset says, I can start small, learn as I go, and get better over time. That shift in thinking turns a daunting goal into a journey you can actually enjoy. Now, you might be wondering, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually make this shift? That's a fair question because changing your mindset isn't like flipping a switch. It takes intention and practice. So let's walk through some practical steps to help you start embracing a growth mindset today. First, pay attention to your self-talk. Your thoughts are like the soundtrack of your life. They're always playing in the background, shaping how you feel and act. When you catch yourself thinking something like, I'm terrible at this, or I'll never figure it out, pause. Challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this really true, or is this just a story I'm telling myself? Then reframe it. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, try, I'm learning how to do this, and I'm getting better with practice. It might feel awkward at first, but over time, this kind of self-talk rewires your brain to focus on possibility instead of limitation. Another key step is to embrace challenges as opportunities. This one's tough because our natural instinct is to avoid discomfort, but growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. Think about a time when you learned something valuable. It probably came from a challenge, right? Maybe you failed a test and had to study harder, or you went through a breakup that taught you what you really want in a partner. Challenges aren't punishments, they're teachers. So the next time you face something hard, try saying to yourself, this is a chance to grow. What can I learn from this? Let's take a moment to talk about failure, because it's a big part of this mindset shift. In a fixed mindset, failure is the end of the story. It's proof you're not good enough. In a growth mindset, failure is just a plot twist. It's feedback, not a verdict. Think about some of the most successful people in history, people like Thomas Edison or J.K. Rowling. They didn't succeed because they never failed. They succeeded because they kept going despite their failures. Edison famously said he didn't fail 10,000 times while inventing the light bulb. He just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. That's the growth mindset in action. So how do you start seeing failure this way? One practical tip is to reflect on your failures with curiosity, not judgment. When something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do differently next time? Write it down if you need to. This turns failure into a learning tool instead of a source of shame. Over time, you'll start to see setbacks as stepping stones, not stop signs. Another powerful way to cultivate a growth mindset is to surround yourself with people who inspire growth. You know that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? There's truth to it. If you're around people who complain, give up easily, or stay stuck in their ways, it's harder to embrace growth yourself. But if you surround yourself with people who are curious, resilient, and open to learning, their mindset will rub off on you. Seek out mentors, friends, or even online communities that challenge you to be better.
Now let's talk about effort. In a fixed mindset, effort can feel like a sign of weakness. If you have to try hard, it must mean you're not naturally talented. But in a growth mindset, effort is your superpower. It's the fuel that drives progress. So start celebrating your effort, not just your results. Did you spend an hour practicing a new skill, even if you didn't master it? That's worth celebrating. Did you push through a tough conversation instead of avoiding it? That's a win. Recognizing effort builds momentum and keeps you motivated. At this point, you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but what if I'm just not wired this way? Here's the truth. Everyone can develop a growth mindset. It's not about being born with it, it's about choosing it. Your brain is like a muscle. The more you practice thinking in a growth-oriented way, the stronger that muscle gets. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and change over time. So every time you choose to reframe a negative thought, embrace a challenge, or learn from a mistake, you're literally rewiring your brain for growth. Let's bring this into the real world for a second. Imagine you're someone who's always wanted to start a business, but you're scared you'll fail. A fixed mindset might keep you stuck, telling you, I don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. A growth mindset says, I don't know everything about running a business yet, but I can learn. I can take one step at a time. That shift doesn't guarantee success, but it opens the door to possibility. It gives you permission to try, to experiment, to grow. Or maybe you're in a relationship that's struggling. A fixed mindset might say, we're just not compatible. This is how it's always going to be. A growth mindset says, we can work on this. We can communicate, learn, and grow together. That shift doesn't mean every relationship will work out, but it means you're approaching it with hope and agency instead of resignation. Now, I want to address something important. This mindset shift isn't about toxic positivity. It's not about pretending everything's fine or ignoring real problems. A growth mindset doesn't mean you have to be happy-go-lucky all the time. It's about being honest with yourself, acknowledging where you're at, and believing you have the power to move forward. It's about resilience, not denial. So let's talk about how to make this shift a habit, because that's where the real magic happens. One of the best ways is to set small, achievable goals that stretch you just enough. For example, if you want to get better at public speaking, don't start by signing up for a TED Talk. Start by practicing in front of a mirror, then with a friend, then in a small group. Each step builds your confidence and reinforces the idea that you're capable of growth. Another habit is to practice gratitude for your progress. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on one thing you learned or one way you grew. Maybe you stayed calm in a stressful situation, or you tried something new even if it didn't go perfectly. Acknowledging these moments helps you see that growth is happening, even when it feels slow. You can also use visualization to reinforce this mindset. Picture yourself facing a challenge and handling it with confidence. Imagine yourself learning, adapting, and succeeding. This isn't just fluffy stuff. Studies show that visualization can prime your brain for success by making new behaviors feel more familiar. Now, let's zoom out for a moment. Why does this mindset shift matter so much? Because it's not just about achieving goals or checking boxes. It's about living a life that feels expansive, meaningful, and full of possibility. When you adopt a growth mindset, you stop being defined by your circumstances or your past. You start seeing yourself as someone who's capable of change, someone who can shape their own future. That's empowering. That's freedom. Let's wrap this up with a little challenge for you. Over the next week, pick one area of your life where you feel stuck. It could be a skill you want to learn, a habit you want to build, or a relationship you want to improve. Then apply the growth mindset. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, reframe it to, I'm learning how to do this. When you hit a setback, ask, what can I learn from this? And when you make progress, no matter how small, celebrate it. Write down your reflections at the end of the week and see how far you've come. This mindset shift isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong practice. But the more you lean into it, the more you'll see changes. You'll start to approach life with curiosity instead of fear, with resilience instead of doubt. And that, my friend, is what changes everything. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on how you can apply it today. And if you know someone who could use this mindset shift, share this with them. Let's keep growing together.